This week, a client of mine found a detached home in a pretty good area of Baltimore. The photos online looked pretty good, but when we actually went to go see the home, red flags were just popping out all over the place. There was shoddy paint. There was like a fence that had been spray painted and they left a mess everywhere. The backyard just was completely unkept, and none of this was photographed in the pictures that actually got us to the listing. In today's video, we are going to be talking about red flags that every homeowner should know about. And of course, if you are working with a real estate agent, your agent should be somebody who's pointing these red flags out to you. But it's important for you as a home buyer to also know what things are really important to look out for and to use them to protect yourself against making a mistake when it comes to the home buying process. Welcome to my channel. You have come to the right place for all there is to know about living, working, playing, and thriving in the Baltimore metro region and beyond. If you're new to my channel, make sure to click the subscribe button and to tap the bell for notifications so that you can be alerted whenever there is new content to the channel. My name is Persia and I am a local Maryland realtor, and every day I get calls, texts, and emails from people just like you who are looking to buy or sell in the Baltimore area or in Maryland in general, and I absolutely love what I do. So whether you are thinking about moving in the next 9 days or 90 days, please make sure to reach out to me and to my team. You can call us, text us, email us. We can set up a video chat, and it would be our pleasure to help you make the move anywhere in Maryland. The first red flag that I want to talk about that's so important is days on market, okay? So every property that you see, whether it's on Zillow or Redfin, or if we're working together and I set you up on a listing search, you will see the number of days that a home has been on the market. We currently are in a market that is very low inventory and high demand, which means that the number of people who are out looking for homes is higher than the amount of available properties. And distill that down to say that properties go quick. If they are priced well and if they are in good condition, they're gonna move relatively fast. Now, if you are seeing a home that has been on the market for a really long time, and by that I mean longer than a month, like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, that is a red flag. Extended numbers of days on market is never a good sign. Normally, when a client reaches out to me about seeing a property that has been on the market for a really long time, I like to do my due diligence. I take a look at that property and see if I can figure out why it's maybe been on the market for so long. I take a look at comps. Is it not priced correctly? Does it look like it could have been a bad flip? If I can't really do my due diligence in finding out what's going on, I'll call the listing agent to see if I can get a sense from them as to why it's been lingering on the market. But 9 times out of 10, it could be because the home is just overpriced, which is okay. But a lot of times what I'm seeing, especially for homes that have been on the market for like 3 months or more, it's usually because, especially in this area, it was a flip, right? It was usually an investor or developer came in and made what they thought were improvements to the property, but really they were not improvements at all, and they just did a really bad job. Not everybody who's a contractor does a good job. Not everybody who's DIYing something or who has a good idea about what they can do in a property does it well. And so a lot of times these homes that have been on the market for a really long time are bad flips, and I would please, that's a huge red flag. Stay far, far away from them. Okay, red flag number 2 is fresh paint that is in an odd area. For example, if you see like only one little patch of fresh paint on a wall or on a ceiling, but it hasn't completely been done, you know that they might have done a repair and only patched up that one area. So they might be trying to hide something or cover up something that they did not want to disclose to you. Another thing to look out for is if you're in a basement, for example, and the basement looks, okay, but you notice that the walls or like the baseboards are brand new, like newly painted or newly installed baseboards, might mean that there was some water intrusion that affected the walls and affected the baseboards that they just swapped out to try to make it look fresh and clean and like nothing happened. So that is a red flag. The next red flag is unusual smells. Now, it's really important that if you are in a home and you walk in and all of a sudden you smell the overwhelming scent of like scented candles or those Glade plug-in things, it might be a red flag. It might be because they're trying to cover something up that they don't want you to smell. The smells that they could be covering up to hide are like pet odors. It could be cigarette smell. Let me tell you, when you try to cover up cigarette smell with candles or Febreze or something like that, it does not work. Don't do that. If you're a homeowner, don't do that. Sometimes I also notice people try to cover up like mold and mildew smells if there's been water intrusion. So again, if you walk in and there's an overpowering odor that kind of makes you feel like you can't tell if there's a weird scent going on in the home, that's a red flag. They might be trying to cover something up. The next red flag is signs of DIY fixes. And this kind of goes with the days on market thing that I started off with. But if you see things in the home that make it look like this was just like someone who was not licensed or not professional putting in things, like if you see really bad paint job, or you see fixtures that weren't installed properly, or appliances that weren't installed properly, that's a red flag. It lets you know that, it probably wasn't a licensed contractor who did the work on this particular home. It's also important to look to make sure that permits were pulled, because if it looks like shoddy workmanship, if there are uneven floors, if, oh my God, I've just seen so many things. In one home inspection, the wall didn't even meet up correctly in the basement, so you could see directly into the next person's home. So all of these things are red flags, and if permits weren't pulled, and if you're just seeing things with your own naked eye that seem like they were DIY or not done the right way by a licensed contractor, that's a red flag that you should pay attention to. Because if there are things with your own eyes that you're seeing that aren't right, you have no idea what's behind the walls with the plumbing system, electrical system that also could be wrong because they have decided to cut corners. A recent example of this is that I was at a home inspection with a homeowner who decided to go under contract on a house that was an LLC flip. And, everything actually looked really good. The work looked good, but we found out that the dishwasher was not properly installed. And so the water to the dishwasher was just going into some random pipe in the basement and ending up in the HVAC system. So it flooded everything. It was horrible. And it was just because it wasn't a licensed contractor who did this work. We found out that no permits were pulled ultimately. So these are the red flags that we look out for, and why it's so important to get a qualified home inspector who knows what they're doing so that they can alert you to when you need to run away from a home. Another red flag to look out for are foundation cracks and cracking sort of all around the house. What is really important to know, and sometimes my first time home buyers are kind of alarmed when they see cracks and things. Some cracks, especially in older homes, which are very typical in this area, are going to be normal because it's just normal settlement. So if you just see small vertical cracks that aren't very wide, it's most likely not having to do with the foundation or anything like that. It's just normal settlement cracks, and you can just, putty over them and repaint and it'll be good as new. What you do want to pay attention to are wide cracks in the foundation, like down in the basement, or cracks that are horizontal, or cracks that go like in a stair step pattern. Those are serious, and those are structural foundation cracks that are going to be problematic. Now, if a home that you're interested in has foundation issues, you can certainly walk away with it. It's not the end of the world, but it cost a lot to be fixed. So they can be fixed, it's just quite costly. I had a client who was under contract on a house that had some foundation issues. We had a structural engineer come out and they gave an estimate, which was around $75,000 to completely fix all of these issues that were going on with the house. We were able to negotiate and come to an agreement, but it is important at the outset that if you see these cracks, to know that there is going to be an expense associated with making sure that the issues don't get even worse over time. The next red flag to look out for is a big one, and that is water issues. Water issues are probably the biggest issue that we see in homes here. We want to make sure that homes are waterproofed, or at least do not have clear signs of water intrusion in the basement. A lot of times you can tell if there's water issues in the basement because you will see like a water mark or a water line on the wall, or sometimes on the wood studs, structural studs in the basement that show that water has come up and gone down. We don't want that, right? We want to make sure to ask for any records about water intrusion. You might also see, stains in the ceiling and things like that to show that maybe the roof is having leaks. So water issues can be huge red flags. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be the end of the world. We can ask the seller if they have information or if they fixed the roof or if there are still ongoing leaks. But these are really important red flags because water issues sometimes can be a pain. Also, if you go down into a basement in a home and you smell like a lot of moisture and mildew in the air, that's not a good sign. Sometimes if you go down a basement and a dehumidifier is running, that could be a sign that there are water issues. So all of these things collectively can be red flags that are important for you to look out for and at least to get more information about what is going on. One thing that I tell my clients all the time, especially when we're going out in bad weather to show homes, is that the rain and bad weather is some of the best times to see a house, because if we go and it's been raining and there are puddles in the basement or water in the basement, you at least know what's going on with the home and you're not going to be surprised during the home inspection or something like that. So that's a little tip for you, that if you are able to schedule showings when it's bad weather, that's not necessarily a bad thing. You might see some things that you wouldn't have seen otherwise. The next red flag is poorly maintained landscaping. One of the biggest things that I notice that's a red flag are like a bunch of dead trees on the property. Number one, they're just unsightly. Number two, they can be very expensive to get rid of. So if you have a dead tree on your property, you should know that it's going to cost money to take that down. It's also a fall risk. If it's close enough to the structure of your home and there is, gusts of wind or storms, they can fall over and cause a lot of damage. So that's important to know and a red flag. If you have overgrowth of bushes and trees and things that are immediately in front of your home or that are touching your home, all of that is not good because it can lead to critters and insects and things like that getting into your home, as well as it just being potentially a hazard for the structure of your home. So poorly maintained trees and landscaping is an issue. Also, if you notice that the yard of your home is sloping the wrong way, so if it is a hill and it slopes towards the foundation of the house, that is a real red flag and a big deal, because you do not want water to be flowing the wrong way, to be flowing down towards the foundation of your house. So that is a red flag too. The next red flag are vague seller disclosures. So in the state of Maryland, the seller has to disclose any latent defects that they know of with the home. And the purpose for this is to make sure that, if you can't see something going on with the house, that the seller tells you what's going on. It's important to know that sometimes the sellers are not 100% honest. And I found this where, we have a home inspection and it's something that probably the seller did know about and just didn't disclose to us. So a red flag could be that the sellers put a lot of unknowns on the check boxes, like they don't know the age of the roof. They don't know, and it could be that they bought the house and that they haven't done any work to the roof and that they didn't know how old it was when they bought it and all of these things. But having very little information from the seller about what's going on with the home could potentially be a red flag. So that's important to look out for. Well, there you have it, the red flags that you need to look out for when you are buying a home. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope that you learned some things that'll help you in your home buying journey. And again, if you are thinking about buying or selling in Maryland, please reach out to my team. We would absolutely love to help you. All of our contact information is in the information box below, so make sure to check that out, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.